What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, what I'm going to do is give you a one-day review of our new 2020 Subaru WRX STI. This is a base trim. We've only had it for 24 hours, so I thought I would give a quick kind of initial impressions and what I think of it. I will get more lengthy, more in-depth reviews, the buying process, possibly how much I paid for it, insurance, all that, what you need to look at when you're looking at purchasing one of these. But the first 24 hours, I think we put like 60 miles on it yesterday. So I have a general idea. I've test drove them many times, a couple times. I've had a regular WRX in the past. Previously had an Outback, but I will, again, in a more lengthy review, I will get into that, why we actually went to this. Big thing is that the financing, it was 0.9% financing, and there was a really good deal on it at the time. But that being said, the first 24 hours, so the first thing I noticed with this is that it's actually not as loud as I actually thought. When I first initially test drove it, it was much louder than I actually originally thought it was going to be, but it's not as loud as I actually thought, which is good and bad. It's also not as quiet on the inside. I'll give you an overall tour of the car and my thoughts, just in the interior, exterior, driving it, all that. But our Subaru Ascent, my wife currently has a Subaru Ascent, which is on the global architecture platform, which is very, very quiet and much more rigid and more, I wouldn't say stable, but you can just tell it's a better platform than this. Is the only model, the WRX and the STI, that are currently on the older Subaru platform that aren't on their global architecture, which is a massive improvement, especially when it comes to how quiet it is on the inside. So that being said, let's go over the exterior. I'll go through the interior and just kind of the driving of it and give you our first general 24 hours with it and what we actually think of it. So let's jump in. All right, so for the actual exterior of this, it's actually grown on me the more that I've actually owned it. Again, 24-hour impression. I did not initially want the white color. I previously actually wanted the World Rally Blue or the Lipace, whatever the darker color blue is, but these are currently really hard to find. So this actually came from West Virginia. So it does have about 240 miles on it when I bought it, and then we put 60 miles on it yesterday. So the first thing I noticed about it is that it is not as soft as our previous Outback or our Ascent. So it's definitely very bumpy. We do have a 6-month-old in the back, and he didn't have any problems with it. Just looking at the color here, the white has again grown on me. So we do have a 6-month-old that the car seat fit fine in the back. We didn't have any problems with that. There's actually more room in the back seat of this than our actual Ascent is. So at least when we put this in, my wife has more room on the passenger side than she previously did. So if you are thinking about this and you have a family, don't shy away from something like this, because guess what? It can work. So that's how much room she has. She said it felt comfortable, and again, we drove about 60 miles yesterday in it with the baby in the car, so we actually had a pretty decent time in it, and I had to go to the groceries, so she actually sat in it with the baby while I did that. So she was in it for a couple hours and didn't have any problem with comfort or anything like that. So again, the white has grown on me. It's kind of a wide body stance, nothing different than 2015. They've done a few different things to it. Not a massive fan of the rims, but again, that's what you get with it. It does have 6-piston brakes, which the first thing I noticed about these is that the brakes are really good. I had Outback previously in our Ascent. The brakes are okay on this, but this thing will stop on a dime, so you have plenty of braking power there. The big thing I noticed though is that this thing was actually perfectly clean when I got it, and there's already a ton of brake dust on the calipers, as you can see, wiping it off there on the calipers, the rims. So that's one thing that you're going to need to do with this, is probably clean these brakes all the time. Sorry for the wind and the noise out here. It is pretty windy and cold right now, but the brakes overall on this are excellent. A lot of brake dust, especially on the front, not so much on the rear if you look here, but I just noticed that when I got it home, because it was clean when I left the dealership, and the brake calipers already have a decent amount of dust on them. So it doesn't look like they took all the actual wheel covering off there either, so have to go around and look at that again. We literally, I got off work, we went and got it, and we drove it. We had to make a few stops, and then we stopped home. So the color's growing on me. I do like that. Got the hood scoop there, which well, I don't know if we like, but I like there because it's functional. I like that it has functional vents. Again, I will get into that to the long-term review, but it is definitely stiff when it comes to riding. The baby didn't have any problem with it. He actually slept for most of the time in it, so I don't think it will be an issue. But that is something to keep in mind, that it is very stiff. It's not going to be the most comfortable riding vehicle. No tinted rear windows, which is a problem, so I will have to get that done, mainly because, again, we have a car seat to baby, so we will have to take that into account. Tons of rear room in the back. So she actually sat in the rear back here for some of the trip also, and she said it was very comfortable. She did say it was very loud, and she said the speaker sucked. So this speaker system, it's just your standard typical speakers that you would get on it, not the Harman Kardon, and they're not very good. That's probably one thing we may upgrade way down the line, but the speakers aren't very good on this. And she actually couldn't even hear the radio, so she said it was so loud back there. But she said the front was fine, she could hear the radio and everything, but she said in the back it was a little louder than she would have preferred. But again, this isn't something we're going to take on all of our trips. The doors open really wide. That's one thing that she and I liked, especially when getting the baby into the back. Kind of go around here to the back here. But it opens really wide, so there's tons of room in here to get the baby in and out. And again, there's plenty of room here. She could move her seat up probably a little bit. She cannot move it back any further. So, but she said the front seat was very comfortable. Haven't even looked in the trunk. So, again, we've seen a regular standard trunk before, but decent amount of room in there, especially for a smaller car. Again, it is not very loud, not as loud as I actually thought. She said it was much louder in the rear seats than it was actually in the front. So that's just our general first impressions. Big wing there, which I like. I know it's a little probably childish, but you can't get the STI if you don't have the wing there. So with the front seats, very comfortable. I did notice that they are a little harder than our Outback or our Ascent, so you will have to get used to that. They're more racing oriented seats, not a whole lot of bolstering or anything there, so it's pretty stiff compared to their Outback and Ascent seats. Excellent steering wheel. I really love the steering wheel, hydraulic steering. I did notice that the hydraulic steering is very heavy, especially coming from the Ascent, which I think has a lighter steering overall, but has good steering. When it comes to actual manual transmission, this is where I actually like this over the WRX. No rev hang, none that I could notice. It's very easy to drive, but the gears are really short, so you're going to be shifting a lot. So that's something that took a little getting used to, is just how much shifting I had to actually do there. But it's a very good gearbox. It's a little clunky and probably a little old school compared to, let's say, I don't know, maybe a Type R or Golf R or something like that. But overall, it's great. I left it in intelligent mode. I'll get to the fuel mileage on what we're getting so far currently. The interior feels, see, some things are really high quality, like the steering wheel, the seats, the shifter feel very nice. I think the head unit's nice too. It's not big. It's only 7 inches, but it's responsive, vibrant, everything. I don't have any problems there. But the plastic on this is cheap. It feels very, very, not very soft, kind of. It just feels like it's definitely where they kind of cut corners, is with that. So that was our general impressions of the interior. No sunroof, no LED lights, which I think is kind of weird for this. I would figure everything would be LED in this day and age. But overall, we didn't have any issues there. It does only come with summer tires, so we live in Ohio, so I already ordered winter tires and rims because it's getting colder here, and these tires are worthless in the actual winter. But see, you can see the brakes here. They were spotless when I got it, and now after 60 miles, they have a ton of brake dust on them. So you're going to be cleaning these front rims pretty often. Let's see, anything else about the exterior?
I don't think so. We'll go back over to the wife's side. She, said she had plenty of room. She really liked it. There's not a whole lot of storage, she said, at least when we look at the glove box and everything. There's not a whole lot of room in there compared to the Ascent. Not a lot of storage either, so you don't have, got a little spot there to put your phone, a couple cup holders. This will slide over it, but again, this all stuff feels pretty cheap. What I do like about this over the Outback previously is you got physical knobs for everything. So there's very few actual touch buttons. You actually have the heated seat. These are pretty old. These are probably from 2004, the design, but they work, and that's what we like. Not very much actual cubby or storage space, but again, this is a smaller all-wheel drive, originally intended to be a rally car. So but she liked the seats, I like the seats. Again, we won't be taking any road trips in this, so not something we're really worried about. All right, so back to the front. This does have the steering responsive front headlights, which I personally really like. If you've ever had steering responsive headlights before, it's hard to go back to regular standard ones. So again, really like that. No fog lights because there's actually vents here that actually, I believe they actually cool the brakes a little bit. So I didn't use the fog lights on our other vehicles anyway. So, all right, let's get in, kind of show you what it sounds like starting it up and what kind of fuel mileage we're getting here. All right. So I do like this up here. Again, the Outback, or not the Outback, the Forester actually has this also. Turn the radio off. Got your boost gauge and then clock. Same thing as all theirs, but currently I'm getting 21.3 miles per gallon, and it's on 43 miles. So that's pretty good. I was expecting a little less. I think for the odometer, it's getting around 20, which it has 283 miles on it. I do like this center gauge because it's not clustered. There's not a whole bunch of options. It's pretty standard. There's not a whole lot you can do with it. So I usually just leave it on one of those. I just leave it in intelligent for the actual SI drive. It's probably what I'll leave it in. But overall, getting pretty decent fuel mileage so far. Mix of interstate and back roads. We don't have a ton of city here. So actually for your 7-inch screen, it's great. Again, not large, but it's functional, it works. It's really responsive. I don't have any issues with it connecting or having any problems. It's pretty responsive. Do have to pair it. It does have the HomeLink mirror here, so I do have to pair that with my garage. But I'm gonna turn this off because this is premium fuel and I'd like to save as much fuel as I can. But the HomeLink we like, because you can open your garage door with it right there. And as you can see, it is raining outside. So overall, we're really happy with this. I will get to a longer review as we go along, but overall first impressions is it the most practical family vehicle? Maybe not, but it's all-wheel drive, and with winter tires on this, it's probably one of the safer vehicles out there. And as you can see, as most people thought I was crazy, you can fit a car seat in it really easy. This is the Nuno Rava, which is your typical standard somewhat medium to large size car seat. Fits fine, no issues. Actually left my mirror though at the dealership, so I have to go buy another one or try to track one down. It did come with all-weather floor mats, which were, I don't know, $129 option all the way around. Subaru's all-weather floor mats are pretty good. Probably not quite WeatherTech quality, but I thought they were pretty nice. So that's it. Oh, one more thing. So the clutch is pretty heavy. It has a very high pickup point, so it does take a little bit to get used to when driving because the catch point is so high on it. I'll give you a shot of the motor, but this motor's been around for ancient years, still port injection. You don't have direct injection, so that's why the fuel mileage isn't as great. 2.5 liter turbocharged. Again, this is nothing new. It has its issues, its plus and minuses. But I don't plan on modifying this. I just plan on keeping it stock, and I don't plan on beating it into the ground, so I don't think we'll have any issues with it. That's it, guys. So if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. I will get a more in-depth review as we go along with this, but this is a vehicle that I was told that I have to keep for the next 5 years because I have a vehicle purchasing problem. But we got a good deal on it. We got good financing, so we put a decent amount down, so I'm not really worried about that. Thanks everyone for watching. Again, if you have any questions, comments, leave them below. Feel free to like this video. If you like it, subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this, and I will see what I can do and get you some more videos up. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time.